So, welcome to the first game of the evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are on New Gettysburg, spawning to the bottom left-hand side in purple. Our Zerg player for Invasion Esports, it's Anolia. And to the bottom right-hand side in orange, also playing Zerg for my Risk, it's Miezekotze. So, let's see what these both ladies are up to. Both of them are already sending their overlords out towards the map to get the first vision in a little while, because it takes overlords quite some time to get somewhere, no matter how big the map is. Of course, the larger the map, the longer it takes, but you can always wait a little time before the overlord finally arrives. So, Anolia just going for a hatch first, while Miezekotze goes into a spawning pool and an extractor, so she will have the aggressive potential first. The map is quite interesting because we have a short little route via that bridge here. Problem is that it's actually not as short as you might think, so it takes you quite some time before you can finally reach your opponent's natural base in order to take it down. So until you finally happen to come over here, you will normally, your opponent will normally just have a few things to defend herself, so it might not work out as well. So both are just sending out two overlords, which is quite common, because you normally just want to have one overlord that scouts the front and sees whether there is a base or not. One base pushes have become very uncommon in Legacy of the Void, but still, sometimes on small maps with small rush distances, they still happen. So you just want to have a little look over there. You also want to have an overlord in place close to the natural ramp, because you want to see when your opponent is moving out. But normally you also want to have an overlord either that will be able to scout your opponent's main base later on to see what tech your opponent is going to, or as Miezekotze does right here, you just want to have an overlord close to the third base. So you will have the possibility to scout whether your opponent is going for a third or not later on. And there's the first scouting link for Miezekotze, just trying to get the information a little bit earlier, what Anolia is actually doing, maybe even getting a drone over here, but that's actually not the best, or not actually the idea about it. What she normally just wants to see is whether the opponent has taken gas, and maybe is even trying to research the circling speed, and that's actually what Miezekotze gets as an idea here, while just trying to take out the first overlord, and even gets it over here as well. So that's actually putting Anolia into a little bit of a supply block, and that's something that should actually not happen to you early on in the game. In the meantime, we have Miezekotze building her roach warren. It's already finished, and now she's already producing the first few roaches, so she obviously wants to go for an early push with roaches and the first remaining lings here, which could actually hit Anolia quite hard, especially after losing that overlord over here that was that had the same duty that Miezekotze's overlord has over here, which is to have a look at the natural ramp, see if your opponent's units are moving out or not. And here we are with Miezekotze's second overlord, who now just gained all the vision about the third hatchery, which is just playing into Miezekotze's hands, because a third base early on means less units to defend, and that might cause a big problem to Anolia, who's just frantically trying to produce a few more units, but the only units she might be able, or she might produce, the only units she's able to produce are only lings, not even banelings. So she just tries to seal off her main ramp completely in order to protect herself for a little longer, just to gain a little bit more time. But unfortunately, Miezekotze just breaks through with the first few lings here, takes down the first building immediately, the second one as well, now even taking down a queen, while the rest of the units are just rallied across the map. It's only drones over here that just try to run away as fast as they can, and it's only a few lings left for Anolia that will just not be able to defend this base at all. So the biggest problem right now is how will she be able to defend? Now trying to get more lings out, trying to get the full surround of these units, but there's also a few lings left for Miezekotze as well. The lings are not trading very well against the roaches and the ravagers, and now all of the army is gone. GG, and Miezekotze takes the first game. Welcome back on the second map of this series. It's Frost. And spawning to the bottom left-hand side once more in purple, it's Anolia. And Same thing every year, same procedures every year. Spawning to the bottom right hand side in orange, we have Miezekotze, who's leading 1-0 with a quick aggressive strategy. Actually, if you just watched Miezekotze stream lately, you can see her trying to cheese a little bit more. Not just for the sake of cheese, but actually to improve her own micro mechanics. Because lately she's just realized that that's something she needs to improve on. And actually she's right, playing cheese is the best way to do so. And of course we've already seen that a lot in the FSL. If you play a lot of best of fives against different opponents, that can actually study your games afterwards, you normally don't want to have only one build in a matchup. You normally want to be able to mix it up a little bit, so that you can actually just surprise your opponent a little bit, and you don't want to be as predictable as other players that only have one build. So, nice scout actually here by Anolia, who really wants to know whether her opponent is close spawn or is just cross spawn. She will just see right now that her opponent comes from the bottom right hand side. So she's probably just going to, well, maybe just pulling her drone back, or maybe not. There it goes. Okay, just realized that she doesn't need to scout anymore. We'll probably even send that overlord towards the location over here, probably somewhere around here, maybe at the third base, but actually that overlord can cover the third base a bit better. So I think that's not what she wants to do. Maybe now even trying, oh, she even wants to scout that base with the drone. Don't really know if it's necessary, but I think she just wants to, because having this drone sent out anyways, why not just send it into the main base and get a better look at it, although she's not really sending it towards the main base. Okay, first few links already out from Miezekotze. It's quite typical for her. We have seen her going for the first 4 scouting links, or the first 4 links, we could actually just say. Not all of them are destined to scout, but that's normally just what she does. She just produces 4 links, normally uses 2 for these watchtowers, if there are watchtowers on the map, and then just uses the other 2 maybe to scout inside the base, maybe to fend off some early links herself, or just getting a drone, or whatever it might be, or even in another matchup maybe chasing a Reaper or something like that. So in the meantime, we've already seen the Baneling Nest gone down, Metabolic Boost is almost done, same so for Anolia, so nothing special about it. Anolia has already produced a few links over here, but I think she was just scared of Miezekotze maybe producing more links. No, actually she's really going full all in while producing 12 links right now. So she actually really wants to go for a super hard attack over at Miezekotze's base. So Miezekotze not really aware of what's going to happen yet. She doesn't even have her overlords in position that well. She has one overlord over here that can actually see a third base if it's going to be taken. And now she's actually a bit lucky just seeing these links with her scouting link over here. I think that overlord would have been just a little bit too late. So she actually gets the warning right in time, produces a few more links, and even tries to wall off over at her natural ramp. Have some Banelings in position actually, which actually the first one even getting a good hit over here. Unfortunately, the second one not at all. It's been taken out by only one Zergling over here, so a big blunder there by Miezekotze, actually now even losing some drones in the process. One quite good bailing hit was quite okay over here. Only 2 drones have died so far. More drones on the main base, taking down the queen over here. And actually, it's been cleared over here as well. So it seems as if the banelings were kind of enough in order to clean everything up. More damage is being dealt in the main base, but only 3 drones have died so far. So magnificent hold by Miezekotze here. Really, really well done, especially after having only so few preparation time to counter what Anolia was trying to do. Anolia just realized immediately that she has to wall off her natural base because she's afraid of a counter push that could just happen any time, and it's only natural to do so because if your opponent tries to fend off your own push, of course she's going to produce a lot of lings and banelings. So why not use them after you've just stopped the push? Instead, Miezekotze does the clever thing. She just expands once more and leaves Anolia to her own fear. Of course, she wants to move out a little bit and maybe even just scout the front in order to see whether there might be a chance for her to do some damage. But of course, after that failed push, Miezekotze knows for sure that her opponent just is afraid of a counter push, maybe even walling in as Anolia actually is doing. And now she can just get the economic lead by taking a third base very early on, because she's just actually contained her opponent using her own fear against her. So that's quite interesting what Miezekotze does over here, and quite clever play, we have to say as well. So Miezekotze just going into the attack upgrades, while Anolia just tries to transition towards roaches. Now Miezekotze just tries to get in at the main base, the natural base ramp, just takes out that spine crawler over there, and unfortunately it seems Anolia was just too secure, or just feeling too secure, thinking that walling off the main entrance with the spine crawler and the queen over there would just help her to defend against everything long enough until the roaches pop. But unfortunately Miezekotze just gets in, takes out the queens, takes out a lot of drones before the first few roaches pop, but they get surrounded, immediately taken out. More lings are ready to cross the map. Nice positioning here by Anolia, trying to defend as cost efficiently as possible, but unfortunately it's probably not going to be enough. 24 drones have already been killed. The last roach in the main base dies as well. Oh my god, GG. And Miezekotze takes the second game as well. The third map of this thrilling series, we're in Apotheosis, and spawning to the top left hand side in purple is Anolia, and to the bottom right hand side in orange, leading to the O, it's Miezekotze. So, quite interesting choice from Anolia here. She deliberately chose that map after losing the last one, because that's the rules. It's loser's choice after the first map, and I think, because we've already seen her do that quite some time, or quite often actually, during the FSL season, that she wants to take the gold base and then maybe go for early push with only lings and banelings. We'll see if she's going to do that or not. Miezekotze at least is doing it, so we can see if it's going to work out or not. Actually, Anolia being a little bit late, so she doesn't want to take the gold base first. Maybe later on she rather wants to go for an early spawning pool and then going into extractor. Maybe it's a little bit of a mind game. Maybe she just expects her opponent to take the gold base over here. So actually, even if you have the gold base, it will of course take a little bit of time before the extra income kicks in. And in the meantime, you're normally a little late with your own pool and your own gas and your own speed. And of course your own lings and queens, because you just build them later. So actually there might be a small timing window where you can do significant damage to your opponent if you just go straight up into pool and then doing a hard push before your opponent has the possibility to saturate the gold minerals and then just outproduce you with lava and the mineral income. So they can just flood you with links like crazy. So Miezekotze already transferring a few of her workers over to the gold base. Timing is a little bit late, so she will have a little less income for a few seconds here before the workers finally arrive at the gold minerals. So there's the first few links already headed across the map, while she takes a second base behind it. Not the gold base, mind you, which is actually quite interesting once more. I mean, if you go for such an early aggressive tech, you definitely want to punish your opponent for maybe being greedy, but then just not going for the gold base, I don't actually know if that's really a wise decision. So yeah, we'll see if it's going to work out or not. So in the meantime, we have baneling nests for both players here, which is quite common of course in the ZvZ matchup. The early game is normally dominated by the Link-Bane wars most of the time, unless both players just decide not to bother their opponent. Okay, seems as if Miezekotze might even be able to get yet another Overlord from Anolia, which would actually be a very big blunder here and a big problem for Anolia as well, because getting supply blocked right now, when you actually just want to outproduce your opponent with speedlings, So, that's actually really a bad thing that can happen to you that early in the game. So I think Anolia just was out a little bit too far with her Overlord over here. So in the meantime, we have the first few Banelings morphing and a few Lings ready as well. So again, it just comes down to the better execution and the better micro, which is actually what ZvZ is about most of the time. Just execution. So actually quite nice positioning here by Anolia, just trying to waddle around with this little Baneling over here, trying to catch maybe some Lings or Banelings that are being prepared somewhere down that ramp. But unfortunately for Anolia, Miezekotze is coming from the other angle. So let's see how this is going to work out. Actually, the first few hits not as well as Anolia would have liked them to be. Has to be careful with the Banelings here. Okay, actually Miezekotze just throws two Banelings into two workers here, which is actually not the best trade, but she has some more Banelings in stock. Maybe actually she just wanted to make her opponent feel safe and then just run in once more. And again, it doesn't look good for Anolia at all. There's another two Banelings just trying to walk in, actually not getting the amount of workers they would have liked to. Okay, but then just the next few Banelings that were morphed getting attacked and taken down by only two Lings. So another bad trade for Anolia here, and actually Anolia just can't afford bad trades because Miezekotze just has the better income and is sending more units across the map, so she will actually just outproduce her eventually, unless of course she's just throwing away individual units before they have finally managed to get together. Anolia just going for the counter attack, and I totally understand that. I mean, it's actually the only thing that she can do right now, just even trying to produce even more. Maybe another tactic would be to go for some more drones, trying to get some Banelings out and getting some good Baneling hits in order to be just more cost efficient and then just getting back up a good economy. But yeah, this doesn't seem to work out at all. She just tried to move in some Banelings over here right inside of Miezekotze's units, so just trying to get at least one good hit off with a Baneling, but it only kills two more units over here. Miezekotze just realizes this is my chance, walks across the map once more. In the meantime, we have Anolia just passing by via the other lane. So it seems as if we might get into some sort of base race scenario, maybe. So at least I think Anolia should be able to take down this base over, should be able to take out this base completely, while the Lings of Miezekotze actually turn around. So it seems as if she just wants to take out the Lings that are rallied into her base, because she probably thinks that her gold base will just still give her a good advantage after holding this. So even with losing the third base, she won't be behind if she just clears out these units well enough. But right now, actually, her Lings are not really actually doing anything. So don't know really what's going on here. She's not really microing down here as well. And there we have an Overlord drop. No, what was that actually? Oh, there's the Nidus Worm. Okay, never mind. So, there's the Nidus Worm just now getting out. Okay, so meantime, actually, you're having thrown down the Nidus Worm in all the action that was going on during the Baneling wars. One time at Anolia's front, then again at Miezekotze's front. But in the meantime, Miezekotze just managed to get out the Nidus Worm as well. Is now even loading in some roaches, and will of course now have the speed advantage like crazy. I mean, this is of course the best thing you can just do, getting your units to get your units across the map towards your opponent's base. And now the only thing that Miezekotze actually has to do is just trying to get the Banelings to run into the roaches, and then she will always have a cost-efficient trade. Nice Baneling hit over here for Anolia, just taking out the big amount of Miezekotze's Lings over here, but unfortunately once more Miezekotze just seems to have a little bit too much. Waiting for another Nidus Worm to get up again so that she will be able to just rally her roaches over to Anolia's natural a lot quicker than normal, because without them having to walk across the map, they will of course be here a lot earlier. So the push, it's actually like Protoss warping units in. If you want to have a good comparison here, how quick it's going to work. So with the Nidus Worm, you can actually just neglect the defender's advantage, and Miezekotze takes the third game as well, winning the series with a swift 3-0.